It's Tuesday and it's time for Falcon Focus. Welcome to Falcon Focus, episode number 13 here in season number 5. My name is Matt Menzel, and on this week's edition, as we're sponsored by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin, our focus in segment number 2 will be women's basketball. The frenzy of February upon us, and for the women's basketball team, the NAC tournament begins with a quarterfinal matchup coming up on Wednesday against the Edgewood College Eagles. We'll be joined by Aubrey DeBush, who is in her junior season as a forward on the women's basketball team. But up first, our focus on ACHA hockey. They prepare for the Central Regional Tournament taking place in Grand Rapids, Michigan this weekend, hosted by Davenport and being joined by freshman forward Chuck Emmy. Chuck, thanks a lot for your time. And before we talk about the current situation for the Falcon ACHA hockey team, I want to talk about your hockey background. And when did you first start playing hockey and why?
Well, just about as soon as I can get skates on, I had skates on. I was skating with my dad at our Glenview Public Ice Rink. It's back home. It's about 5 minutes from our house. And it was just always kind of like, that was second home. You know, started there, and whenever we can get ice, we skated. So started early and kept going.
And your dad played hockey. He's coached hockey
Yep.
for well over 3 decades. I assume you played at one point for your dad. How was that experience?
Played for him for a while, and I loved it. I got to go to the rink with him every day. Can't ask for more. You know, I always had that kind of personal touch of coaching, and I don't think you could ask for anything more. And I learned a lot, and I kind of took that and moved on to other coaches, and nothing can compare to that. I won't lie. I love being coached by him, and he was definitely my favorite coach out of them all.
What's the best advice he's ever given you, or what advice has he given you that's helped you now throughout your career?
Control what you can control. You can't always get, whether it's the referees, you can't always get the calls, you can't always get the bounces, but if you can just control how hard you work and you know what you can do out there, just do what you can, and the outcome will come.
Outside of hockey, did you play other sports growing up?
Totally. I was in soccer, baseball, a little bit of tennis, and I didn't have the height for volleyball, but I loved it playing in gym class. But
Yeah, what was it like growing up in the Emmy household? You look at your family and just athletes across the board. Your sister, a pro tennis athlete, played with the Minnesota Golden Gophers in college. Your uncle in the Oakland A's organization. You mentioned your dad with hockey. The list goes on and on. It must have been a blast.
yeah, a lot of sports. I will say balls are flying. Things are always moving. It's a lot of fun, and it's kind of like you got to keep your head on a swivel. I won't lie. You know, some might be flying at you, but it's a lot of fun, and everyone's competitive, so it makes it all that much more of a kind of a competition every day.
And
Which
you're
is awesome.
And you're the youngest of the siblings.
Yep, I am.
So you had to learn that toughness
Yep.
quickly.
I'm youngest by 6 years, so there's a little bit of a gap, but it's all fun.
Tell us about your hockey journey then to Concordia, which included a stop last year in the NAHL last season with Odessa.
Yeah, so I was only there for about 2 months. Nothing too crazy. Kind of just wasn't really liking that whole junior situation, and I knew a couple kids that were here last year, and also Owen Almberg, who I lived down the street from, and it kind of turned out to be like this could be a great option. It's a great area. We know the area well coming into the situation, and it was like I got to keep playing hockey, and it was a good education and a good area. So it was kind of like for me, it was a no-brainer. A lot of people questioned it, which I don't mind. You know, that's just going to happen. But I loved it. I love the decision so far. It's been great and have been a lot of fun.
So you knew a little bit about what to expect coming to Concordia.
Yes, yeah. So partially from like Wisconsin area. I know the town well. It's awesome. I love it's a smaller town of Mequon, but it's also, you get that the personal touch of Mequon. You get the big city of Milwaukee that bleeds into it. And I think it's an awesome little city, and it's a great little location we got right on the lake. It's beautiful.
So from a hockey standpoint, okay, you joined the ACHA program, and the season gets started in September. How long did it take you to get comfortable with your line mates, just with your team, with this program?
I mean, with any team, you know, you kind of got to get used to it, got to build some chemistry with people, get to know people. I came in, you know, and I got to be on one of the higher lines, and then I got to play with some of the better players, and it's definitely much easier to get into the kind of rhythm of it all. And when you kind of just get thrown into the fire, I think it's much easier to figure it out than to just kind of get like slowly led into it. So I kind of got thrown into it with, some of the older guys, Trent Sherman, Ian Garrett, all those guys, and they kind of just took me in, and we kind of just got going right away, and it was awesome.
And you got going right away in that debut against Indiana on September the 22nd. You took 5 shots, you scored 3 goals, had a hat trick, and that was the tone setter for what has been a phenomenal year. How big, though, of a confidence booster was that for you, that first game? Obviously great to score a hat trick, but just get a goal.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where once you kind of get to a different level, and you got to figure it out. And once you get just one, you open up the gate and kind of get going. And it was nice to get one, and then once you get the feeling of the level of play, you can be like, okay, can I get another? What can I do to add to the team? What is this game preparing like? And it just kind of showed up that I got to put 2 more in after the first one and got more comfortable at the level. So that was a great little opening night.
Yeah, of those 3 goals, 2 on the power play. And overall this season, you've had 7 hat tricks with a high of 4 goals in a game on 3 separate occasions. Entering the regional tournament, you've scored a goal now in 9 consecutive games played. Overall, you've scored 51 times. You missed a couple of games with injury, but 32 assists in 30 games. What overall has been working for you this season? How have you been able to be so dominant?
I got to give all the credit to people who I'm playing with. They're open. They're giving me the puck, whatever. Everybody's different. Everyone you play with is different, and everyone that I've played with has just been awesome. And they give me the puck when I need it. I give them the puck when they are open, and we kind of just find a way to put the puck in the net, and it's just all worked. And shots on net have been a great thing this year for us. We've been getting a lot of shots, and if they go in, they go in. If they don't, they can create another chance, another rebound, whatever it is, and kind of just keep going with opening up with all those opportunities.
As we go along, we'll talk more about some of your teammates and about just how high-powered offense this Falcon ACHA team is. I mean, they're explosive, between 5 and 6 goals a game. But is there a game or a performance for you that stands out among the rest so far with your time with the Falcons?
As a team game, I think it was that Marion game when we came back after the tough loss. I think it was 5-3, and we came back and won 8-0. I think that was just a great performance by the whole team, and I loved it. That was the most fun game of the year for me personally. Maybe not the best performance-wise, but it was the most fun. We had the bench was always up in arms. We had, a ton of energy. Everyone was happy to be there, and we ended up rolling the team that is our biggest rival. And so it was a great day for that one.
How about for your entire hockey career? Is there a game or is there a highlight? Is there a moment that stands out so far among the rest?
Not really. I mean, I just, what I kind of do is I like to make the next game, that one. Like, let's make the next game the one that we'll remember. The next game, the one that sets the records. The one that's the most fun. That's how I kind of take it. I don't really. When I look back, it's like, yeah, there's been a lot of great games, a lot of great memories. But let's just make the next one the most memorable. Let's make the next one, the one that we'll always look back at.
And the next one for the Falcons will come your way on Saturday to get the Central Regional Tournament started, at least for Concordia. They get a bye from that first day of competition in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But off to Michigan with a record of 22-10-2 winners of 4 consecutive. When you look at the way this season's gone, this regular season, how would you summarize the season and how the team's currently playing?
Oh, we had our ups and downs. Every team does. You get your winning streaks, you get your losing streaks, but it's mainly just how you finish on the high. And we've had that great last 4 or 5 games where we've just finished on the high. Every game that we've finished strong, and it's kind of been like one of those snowball effects where you're rolling, you're getting more energy, more momentum, and that's what you need toward the end of the season. And you could have your ups and downs all season long as you kind of do that toward the end of the year. And if you build up that momentum, you can keep rolling into something like a regional tournament. And if you could roll into that with a lot of, confidence, momentum, and you could get through that, then that's when you need, to step up for the national tournament.
I mentioned from an offensive standpoint, this offense explosive, 180 goals in 33 games. So again, that breaks down to about 5 to 6 goals a game. How much fun is it to be part of an offense like this? As you mentioned, there are so many different parts, so many different people that are capable of finishing. Yeah,
that's what makes it fun. Is you got that depth and you got that kind of those threats, right? So if I'm not on the ice, you have Malky, Cruiser, Garrett on the ice who could score. They've got a lot of good numbers this year, a lot of good numbers in the past. And it's like that's awesome because not everyone's just on you, not everyone's just on them. You have that depth that's just killer. So if you can get that depth going, especially toward the end of the year, that's when you can really capitalize because no one can defend everybody, right? So if you have that depth, then That's how you win games.
And I'm guessing with this team, not that you want to get into a shootout type situation where the game's 5-5, 6-5, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing there's no panic in this team because you guys have that capability of putting up big numbers.
Yeah, no, we all trust each other, and we know what we could do. We know our skills, and I know everybody else's skill just as well as mine. So I'm very confident in the team, and I got a lot of trust in my guys.
I want to talk more about your teammates. You mentioned some of the names already, and we can go through the whole list and probably announce the entire roster, but Ian Malcolmson, Trenton Sherman, Garrett Wilderman, you have Easton Williams, Tommy Castle, Lucas Cruiser. List goes on and on and on, but how much fun is it to play with those type of guys that, again, as you mentioned, they put up ridiculous totals?
Yeah, no, it's just a blast. That's the only way you could put it. It just puts a smile on your face. Like right now, it's fun. You know, like you make great chemistry with them. You can find them on the ice. They find you, and that's how you win, is when you get good chemistry going.
Has it been pretty much instant chemistry from day one?
I wouldn't say instant, but like after like a couple practices, you hang out with them a little bit. You get to know them on and off the ice. Helps a lot. And basically, like those first couple games, then there was chemistry right away after like a week of practice. Because you can't just jump into something randomly, right? So you get just a little bit of practice with them. The chemistry gets rolling, and then that's how it kind of goes.
And the nice thing is the chemistry's all come together. The team brings home a HAP Cup championship, first time in the program's history after being a runner-up in 2020 and 2023. So the third time the charm. You guys won that HAP Cup championship, beating DePaul 9-6. That was the final game of 3 games in 3 days. And take us through that game. Okay, you outscored the Blue Demons 5-1 in the second period. In your opinion, what was the key, the difference in that championship win?
Well, it was a crazy game. It was back and forth, and 9-6 seems like it was kind of a blow up, but it really wasn't. It was a much closer game when you were really watching that game and playing in the game. It was kind of like anything could happen. You know, a shot. Their goal is the shots were going off of sticks, feet, shin pads. It was going off everything. Like anything could happen in those games. And it was kind of one of those is like, we need the next one, we need the next one after that one, and we need the third one after that one. So it was like we couldn't stop. You know, the energy was just awesome on the bench. And it was one of those games where it was like, if you score, you need another one and another one before they get one. And because it was when you score one, you're going to get another. So it was a dangerous game, I will say. But we ended up on the good side. We got that 9th goal, and they were just ready to go to get their goal to tie that game up. So we needed that.
And you look, okay, we know about the Concordia-Marion rivalry, but it seems like, forget scores for instance, and forget about how things have maybe played out the last couple of years. It just seems like DePaul is becoming quite the rival as well.
Yeah, I wasn't here last year, but I do know that DePaul is one of those teams where they ramp up toward the end of the year, and they kind of do that snowball effect I was talking about, where they maybe had their ups and downs during the year, and then they kind of get rolling toward the end of the year, and they do real well in like the HAP Cup, and then they go to regionals, and then they goes from there. But I know this year they were ramping up toward the end of the year as well, and then we met them in the HAP Cup final, and they were still rolling, but we found a way to kind of get in the way of that.
How was the celebration afterwards, knowing you guys were the HAP Cup champions?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Just like any celebration, you lose your gloves and between them all because you have all matching gloves. But it's fun and it's worth it. It's just awesome. You just get to celebrate something that you guys worked hard for, but you know the job's not over. So it's all fun.
That was the 4th time this season you guys have had a stretch where you played 3 games in 3 days. Is that tough by the time you get to that 3rd game as far as fatigue, or has it gotten to the point now you're so conditioned this, far to the season that you don't even – it's all, I guess emotion that kind of carries you through, that adrenaline that carries you through?
It's a little bit of everything. Like if you got energy on the bench, obviously you want to keep playing, right? Like let's keep playing if you got energy. And, yes, it does get pretty fatigued toward the end, but you can't really do anything about that. You can only condition so much for that. And if they're 60-minute games, so those games, they're long. They aren't short games. So toward the end of those games, if you're getting fatigued, that's when the depth comes in, and you can use all 3 lines that you have and kind of roll through it all. So depth is just a major part of that when it comes to those 3 games in 3 days. And, yeah, fatigue definitely does play a big role.
Well, the beauty is if the Falcons take care of business here this weekend, they'd play a maximum of 2 games, and that starts Saturday. Take us through this week, not knowing who you guys are going to play. You obviously know the possibilities, but how have you gone about maybe preparing for what could be? What's been the focus in practice?
Well, we know that if we play our game, we could beat just about any team, if not every team in the country. So as long as we prepare like ourselves, we get ready for the game to play the best of our ability, I don't think we'll have an issue with anybody. And if we do show up and we play a full 60 minutes, then there's no reason why we should lose.
And you guys will play the second lowest remaining seed from day one. Day one gets underway on Friday, and if there are no upsets, and that's a big if, you would play the University of Jamestown. That's what it's looking like. But again, we'll have to wait and see how things play out on Friday. Overall, and again, and you just mentioned it, but when you look at this team's strengths, when you look at the team's maybe weaknesses, if there are weaknesses, if this team is to make a solid run at this regional, get out of the regionals and move on to nationals, what do you think needs to happen? Or is there one area you can point at and say, hey, we have to be strong on special teams, power play? It's got to be this, that, to make things happen.
I mean, if you're strong in your special teams, that's how you win games. Ultimately, I think if you have a great power play and a great penalty kill, and if those are rock solid to the best of their ability, you can't be 100% on either one. That's just not realistic. But if you could be very solid with your percentages on that, then I think that gives you a great chance to win. And with this league, as long as you can kind of give your team the best chance to win by just shooting the puck and getting the puck low and kind of doing that kind of cycling, and you'll be all good. I think if you prepare the way you know you can, you won't have an issue.
And the game on Saturday will take place at 12 o'clock Central Time. It's 1 o'clock Eastern out in Grand Rapids, Michigan. You can check out CWFalcons.com for all the information as far as coverage for the contest for Game 1 of the Central Regional for Falcons ACHA Hockey from Grand Rapids, Michigan. To wrap it all up, you having fun? You having a great time with all that's taking place here this season?
It's been a blast, yeah. CW is awesome, and couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, Chuck, appreciate the time. All the best to you and the guys this weekend in Grand Rapids.
Thank you.
That's Chuck Emmy, ACHA Hockey. All the best to the Falcons. And when we come back, our focus will shift to women's basketball as they will begin their NAC tournament run, a quarterfinal against Edgewood coming up on Wednesday. That's coming up next here on Falcon Focus.
I can't imagine being any other profession than an orthopedic surgeon. We have the privilege and we have the responsibility to make people better. We've been fortunate enough to take care of professional athletes. We've also been fortunate enough to take care of our neighbors and friends who trust us to give them back their life.
One of the main reasons I came here was because this is the way healthcare is meant to be delivered. Being devoted exclusively to orthopedic care means that we can focus on delivering specialized care for every patient. And that includes not only the surgeons and the physicians, but also anesthesia, controlling pain, the nurses, and the scrub techs, and everyone in recovery is dedicated to treating conditions that are very similar for people.
Our tagline is an uncommon focus on you. We think the focus on the patient experience is what sets us apart. Before we make any process or clinical decision at the hospital, we start with the same question: is this what's best for the patient? If we can't answer yes, we move on to the next idea. Our nurses provide care for no more than 3 patients per shift, whereas other facilities, they might provide care for 7 or even 8 patients per shift. We think this personalized care is what sets us apart from others.
I think that dedication to our patients is our number one focus. And you can technically do a good operation, but if you're not centered on the patient, they're not necessarily going to have a great outcome.
The Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin is physician-owned. It's physician-led. We have the responsibility to make the right decision for every patient. We also have the freedom to make the right decision for every patient.
Physicians and staff collaborate through regular meetings, weekly and monthly, and with a relatively small team, we're able to change the way we do things if we need to tweak something to make it perfect.
The facility specifically was designed so that quality could be measured and maintained and sustained. When you have 7,000 patients a year receive their surgery here, it's important that patient number 1 and patient number 7,000 receive the same care.
We place an extremely high priority on the patient experience here. We send surveys to each and every person that receives care at our hospital. Those survey results come back directly to me. I review them and share them with our senior leadership, as well as the staff and the physicians that provide the care to those patients.
There's almost 5,000 hospitals in the country that are measured. The Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin measures number 1, not number 2, not number 3, not runner-up, number 1 in patient satisfaction in the state of Wisconsin for the last 10 years running.
Welcome back to Falcon Focus, presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin, episode number 13 here in season number 5. And here in segment number 2, our focus down on women's basketball. Forget about the madness of March. It's the February frenzy first for Falcon basketball as both the men's and women's basketball teams begin their NAC tournament journeys here this week. And for the women's basketball team, they'll be at Edgewood for a quarterfinal coming up on Wednesday at 7 p.m. and being joined by Aubrey DeBush, who is a junior on the women's basketball team at forward. Again, Edgewood, the opponent from the Edge Dome on Wednesday. And Aubrey, thanks a lot for your time. And I want to start by talking about your path here to Concordia, because you originally were at Cardinal Stritch. That school shut down. How did you find out that, hey, all of a sudden, hey, school's shutting down and you got to find a new home?
Yeah, so it was a crazy experience. Honestly, we were just coming back from our Easter break. So we were driving back down on a Monday, and I get a text from my coach saying, hey, we have an emergency Zoom meeting tonight. Get on the Zoom meeting, and yeah, he lets us know that the school will be no longer after that spring semester last year. It was just a crazy time because we had commits the week before, and our enrollment was up for the next year, so it was just completely unexpected.
So unexpected, surprised. Yeah. So then what is your initial reaction then? So how do you go about figuring out what's next?
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone really knew. I guess the first thing was just to explore what other options are out there, what other schools. Get out and visit as soon as you can, talk to coaches.
And what made Concordia then ultimately your choice?
Yeah, so I had it down to 3 different universities, and I went and visited each one. And Concordia, they just had everything that I was looking for. They had the academics, the team experience, and it fit financially as well, so everything just worked out.
Now from a basketball standpoint, okay, so now you start a new program or with a new program. How long did it take you to get comfortable just working with your teammates, getting to know your teammates, getting to know Stacey Brunner-Jones' system?
Yeah, so luckily Cardinal Stritch was only about 10 minutes from here, and I had an apartment down here over the summer. So I was able to come to all the summer open gyms and meet the girls, kind of get bonding with the team from the very beginning. And it was definitely a change because when you're playing for one coach, I played at Stritch for 2 years before transferring here. So you kind of get used to the system, but the transfer over was pretty easy. Everyone here was super welcoming, and I think everything just flowed really well.
Was it comparable to going from being a senior in high school to a freshman in college and making that transition?
Yeah, I would say it was very similar to that. Granted, I did have college experience before coming here. But yeah, it was just a complete switch with the coach and their program and also getting to know the other girls.
What would you say was ultimately the biggest challenge or adjustment you had to make coming here to Concordia?
I think one of the biggest challenges was I felt like I had leadership from my previous school, but I didn't want to come in here and change everything about the system.
Sure.
So I wanted to still benefit the team as much as I could without changing everything.
You know, you bring up a good point because you look at your background and back in high school, you were captain for 3 years on the basketball team and on top of leadership with Cardinal Stritch. How long did it take you to maybe find your voice or to maybe use your voice now with this team?
Yeah, so I would say it definitely took longer than I would have liked. I started out just kind of observing and seeing how the team interacted, what the, sort of leadership roles were here. And then I just worked my way in. I started just talking to the girls one-on-one, helping them out where I could, see if they had any perspectives that they could add to my game. And everything just flowed together.
Mentioned back in high school, a 3-time captain on top of the fact the number of accolades came your direction as you set the school's record for scoring and rebounding, well over 1,000 points, well over 1,000 rebounds. What do those records mean to you?
It was something in high school. It's something that I've worked for with my teammates in high school and just everything that we were able to work towards and create. Like, it wasn't just me. It was everyone on the team working together to get those. It was super important. You
also played volleyball in high school. Did you ever consider maybe going the volleyball route in college, or was it always basketball?
So volleyball wasn't that important to me. I was considering track for a little bit, too. I hurdled in high school, but basketball was just always my favorite.
What is your earliest memory of playing basketball?
I remember from, I don't even know what age, but outside we had a basketball hoop growing up and just going out there with my dad and my younger siblings, just shooting around, playing games of pig and having fun.
And obviously, hopefully the best is yet to come, but to date, what is maybe your top basketball memory or highlight?
I think my top memory is it was my freshman year of high school, and we made it to the sectional finals, and just the experience there and everything that it took to get up to that point was awesome.
And now here at Concordia, you've come on, and boy, you've been quite the spark offensively. You're averaging a team best, nearly 14 points a game while shooting about 44% from the field, second of the team at 7 rebounds a game. You know, you look at this season for you, have you been pleased with your production for the most part here this winter?
Yeah, I think it's been great. We have a lot of returners coming back next year, so I think us being able to grow together and kind of figure out our playing styles and how we work well with one another, I think that's huge, and I'm excited to see how much more we can grow going into next season.
I know we've had other players on. We've talked about the adversity with dealing with injuries and lineup changes, and that's all part of the adjustment and the ups and downs of a typical season. But now you've scored 10-plus points in 18 to 25 games, including the past 6. You've scored 20-plus points in a game on 7 occasions with a high of 25 at Aurora. You've also notched 3 double-doubles. 2 of those have come against Concordia Chicago, including the finale in the regular season on Saturday. When you look out at the season through the regular season, is there one performance, one game that so far stands out to you and says, boy, I was really on that day?
I'm not sure. I can't really think of anyone specific. I just know, like, obviously when I'm in there, I want the ball and I want to get it in the hoop. But I know recently, too, there have been some girls who are face guarding me, and if I can't be the one to get it, I want to get it to my next teammate that's open so they can get it in.
And Matt, you've had some big performances so far in 2 games against Concordia Chicago. Is there something about that matchup that you have an advantage of? Obviously with height, is there something where obviously you had the 10-plus points, 10-plus rebounds in both those games?
Yeah, so they did have some bigger posts, but I think they were slower compared to me, so I was able to have the advantage there. And then when they tried putting their guards on me, I had the height advantage. So it was just hard for them to match up, I'd say.
And now as a team, you guys are coming off back-to-back victories, knocking off Rockford last Wednesday 50-39, and then mentioned defeating Concordia Chicago to wrap up the regular season on Saturday 62-55. When you look back at those 2 games, what did you feel the difference is in you guys taking care of business?
I think a big difference is just between, like, our players out on the court, our communication with one another, and we've had guards stepping up to take on that leadership role as well. Just making sure we're organized on the court and that we're focused and we're going towards our goal.
And the nice thing is, again, right in the ships in time here for NAC tournament play. And it's no secret when you watch Falcon women's basketball, one of the goals is to pound that ball inside. If nothing else, get to the free throw line, be aggressive. You're obviously a big part of that along with Erin Vergitz. What's it like playing alongside Erin?
Yeah, it's been great playing along Erin. I've loved it. She's a great presence to have in the post. It draws a lot of attention in there, and then it opens things up for teammates as well.
And then you've gotten to the free throw line quite a bit with 100 free throw attempts on the year. You've made 79. How do you approach free throws? What's the mindset? What's your routine technique? Because, and you know this with all basketball players, free throws aren't necessarily free.
Yeah. So for free throws, it's one of the things where you need to get into the gym and put up enough free throws to where it just feels second nature to you. You get up there and you feel relaxed and you know that it's going to go in.
Now it's tournament time, so it could come down to free throws. A lot of close games. You guys have been involved in a lot of close games here this season, especially here down the stretch. The Falcons enter the tournament with 12 victories, 13 defeats. What do you feel is the team's mindset coming into the postseason?
I think the biggest part of mindset is just toughness. We need to get out there and compete, and we never know when our last game could be, so we need to leave it all out there on the court.
And again, this tournament run will begin Wednesday from the Edge Dome against the Edgewood College Eagles. You guys have certainly faced Edgewood before and played them once in the postseason. Knocked off Edgewood from the Edge Dome. That was back on January 20th, 56-45. At the time, it was Edgewood's first conference loss of the season. What do you remember about that win? What do you expect from Edgewood the second time?
So I remember during that win, we had a lot of girls that stepped up. They took away some of our strengths, but then we had other strengths emerge from that. So it was a great experience. I think it was great for some of the younger players to get some more experience playing at that level as well. And I'm excited for this matchup. I think it should be a good game.
Yeah, can't wait. A 6-3 matchup, quarterfinal coming up on Wednesday. When you talk about experiences, how about this season? You guys have had trips to Colorado. You obviously had CIT, which was your first experience with the Concordia Invitational Tournament here inside the John Book Fieldhouse. How would you explain, and did you enjoy those opportunities?
Yeah, so it's been a great experience. I know the trip out to Colorado, it was huge for team bonding, especially at the beginning of the season, to kind of get the girls knowing each other. Out there, we actually stayed at the hotel. We had two or three rooms that maybe had like 4 bunks in them. So it was a great bonding experience. And then the CIT tournament, that environment was unlike any other. Just the atmosphere, it was amazing to be able to play with that kind of encouraging the fans and just everything, the pep band. It was a great experience.
When you talk about the noise here inside the John Book Fieldhouse, was communication, was that tough at all, just trying to communicate with teammates? Did you guys have a system to how to deal with it, with all the noise coming down and trying to be able to hear one another?
Yeah, so a lot of it is just, you got to be loud when you're out there talking to teammates. On the court, I know I tune a lot of outside noise out, but during the good times, it's huge to just have, like, the roaring of the crowd. Really encourages us.
So overall, you've enjoyed your experience. How about, you talk about the bonding opportunity in Colorado, the team bonding. How is the chemistry? How has it developed over the course of this season?
Yeah, so there were a lot of new girls this year. Like, I was the only transfer, but I think we brought in about 10 freshmen as well. So it made me feel better like I wasn't the only newcomer, because it was about equal with newcomers and returners. So we had a lot of learning to do, but I think we've really gotten to that point where we know each other's strengths. We can help pick each other up on our weaknesses and just put together the best game that we can.
No, you talk about that and getting to know one another and figuring out strengths and weaknesses and fill those voids. And we talked about it during the first part of this segment, just talking about the adjustment, going from Cardinal Switch to Concordia, different programs. How about for you? Did you have to reinvent yourself at all from a skill standpoint to maybe adapt with your teammates?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is just the different styles of basketball. Like Coach Falcon at Stritch, he had a different system than Coach Brunner does here at Concordia. I think this system is a lot more similar to my high school coach's system, so it was actually kind of like just refreshing what I've done in the past and just growing from that point.
And now we get into the tournament play, and we talked about Edgewood being the opponent. Winner on Wednesday will move on to the semis on Friday and take on either St. Norbert or Benedictine, and then so on and so forth. The championship game will take place on Sunday. In your opinion, for this team to be successful, make a successful run through this NAC tournament, what needs to happen?
I think everyone just needs to show up. If everyone shows up and gives it their all, I know our potential, and I know that we can reach it.
How's practice been so far this week? Has it been pretty intense, getting ready?
Yeah, it's been good. Everyone's showing up, and we're focused. We've got our game plan, and we've just got to go there and get it.
And hopefully the Falcons will do just that. Aubrey, all the best to you and the Falcons coming up on Wednesday. We're cheering for you, and hope for nothing but the best against Edgewood.
Thank you.
That's Aubrey DeBush, kind enough to join us here on Falcon Focus. And again, the frenzy that is February gets underway tonight with men's basketball. They have a quarterfinal at Rockford at 7 o'clock. Women's game on Wednesday at Edgewood at 7 o'clock. And you can check out CWFalcons.com for all the information for that and more. And then coming up this weekend, the Falcon ACHA hockey team will be in Grand Rapids, Michigan for the Central Regional Tournament. Their quest begins on Saturday at 12 noon, again from Grand Rapids, Michigan. That will do it for Falcon Focus. Thanks to both of our guests, Aubrey DeBush along with Chuck Emmy. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday. It's been Falcon Focus presented by Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin.